Here's your heads up to this 5-minute quickie. It's just following that other one about swearing, but this has got nothing to do with swearing. It's all about kindness at this time of year and how just a little bit of that could change the whole of this festive season for you and the people around you. And it could be just an awesome time without being perfect. Because then that would be perfect if it wasn't perfect. You get what I mean. Anyway, it follows on for the other one, and the other one was a question, so I thought I'd put the two together, one after the other. So have fun. Speak to you soon.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Boo. Hey. How are you today? How are you today? Have you ever stopped again and just do a little bit of a mental scan of your emotions? How are you today? I find it's a good thing to do, you know. Just stop and scan your emotions. Because sometimes things get out of control and we can stop them. We can stop them getting out of control if we are aware of what's happening. And that all comes about from me thinking we've got this wonderful festive season upon us, Christmas time. But also things like the Christmas times are holidays, all good things happen. There's such wonderful times like holidays, you know, everything is so wonderful. The world is absolutely perfect. And we know that it's not. But you see, things like that, we have such a high expectation of things being perfect. We're told by every blooming bit of the media that things are perfect this time of year. And you see all the smiling faces of everyone being absolutely loving and adorable to each other. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had some really horrendous Christmases. I've had some horrendous vacations, holidays. Because sometimes one thing, we're not used to being with the people that we love that intensely, which is such a weird thing to do, or weird thing to say, Paul, but it's a fact that sometimes we're just not used to it and our expectations are higher. The thing like should be, and we should all over ourselves. And they don't have to be that way if we do something about it. Because here's the thing, and especially times like in Christmas and New Year, the drink starts to flow. Alcohol seems to come in. For those of you who drink, I know I do, sometimes we have a little bit more than we should, a little bit more often than we should. And again, these thoughts of, well, actually things aren't quite as perfect as I really intended them to be, wanted them to be. And maybe my partner's not being so perfect as they ought to be and should be. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, we love these people. Here's the thing. Did you know that there are more divorces started straight after the Christmas period? The time of goodwill to all men and women. Yeah, maybe that is a good thing. No, it isn't. It is. Maybe. I don't know. If it's right, it's right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. But sometimes it's blown out for all proportion because of these expectations. And I just wondered, what would happen if you just stopped before and considered something? A bit like I said, doing that mental scan. What would happen if you just stopped? Stopped the roundabout. Stopped being on the swings. What would happen if you did? Here's the thing, and I didn't know when I wrote my notes about this if this is too big, but you might just survive. And in fact, instead of surviving, you could make this time a really pleasant time. Because that's all it's got to be, isn't it? A pleasant time. And when you start from pleasant, it becomes a bit more than that. And if we can do that at the time when we're under so much pressure to get things perfect with this wonderful huge meal, or getting things, so many people on time, and it's got to be just right, and the house has got to be cleaned. I mean, I know when people come round our place, we're doing the spring clean, and in rooms where people will never go, but just in case. And that starts in my head the process of going, oh no, this is all too much, and then the pressure gets on. And if I, in those times, just stopped and was to scan my emotions and go, Paul, you're being a right ass. Just back off. Just help someone get over their not pausing, not stopping. Maybe just my influence of being calmer and helpful would be so much better to that situation. So you might well survive. But the thing is, if you do this in this pressure cooker situation, what would happen if you then started doing it in normal situations? Man, things would happen so much easier. So my thoughts are, and I know this is really like maybe it's pedestrian or boring, but it's not boring because it'll make things better. Well, we plan Christmas, don't we? We plan New Year's Eve. I mean, one of my experiences was I'd been to a party on New Year's Eve, waiting for a taxi cab, and then someone was shouting to somebody else, "Hey, Happy New Year!" And the person didn't respond in the same Happy New Year. So the guy went over and hit him. Now, what is that? That is just madness. And that's what happens sometimes through these expectations. But if we planned, we could plan it in a special way. And I don't mean, because we plan these anyway, what I'm not talking about is planning things to be perfect. Because things will never, ever be perfect. But I don't think we should also ignore the lessons of the past, the messages of the past. The good ones and the really good ones where things didn't go well. And one of the things I thought, well, how could my Christmas be different? How could I plan it in a different way? And I thought, well, maybe I want to set just a new type of emotion that's going to be like my foundation for me for that Christmas period. So whether I'm out with my friends, whether it's a party, with my partner, with anybody, with my family, everyone, I'm just going to plan a kind Christmas. I'm simply going to think, how kind can I be? Just kindness. Now, if I can just be kind, even saying it and start to think about it, I can feel my body is relaxing, because things will be okay. Because if people are a little bit uptight, I can be kind. I can either help them to deal with what they're dealing with, or just to bring their emotions down to a different level. But like we were talking about the Joe Rogan podcast and Darren Brown, just by being there. Not being at odds, but assisting somebody to come into the thing. So I thought, well, how do you do this? Because we always like a few hows. And the hows is, well, think about it. Think of it in two ways. One is to access times in the past when you've been kind. Times in the past when people have been kind to you. Because you can learn from other people. Because I know people who are so much kinder than me. I know I've got it inside me, but maybe I don't do it as often as I should. Should all over myself again, I know. But there are people who are just have kindness in abundance, and they show it. I've got it in abundance, but maybe I just don't show it enough. So I can go back to times when people have been really kind to me. Kindness for no reason, that's selfless service. And times when I have been kind. Because it can come down just to a kind thought. And then the deed. Because the kind thought we'll get there. The vibration, I'm sure, will get there too. And then you can visualize it. Just visualize being kind. Visualizing that Christmas dinner, that New Year's Eve, and just being kind to people. If you really want to go overboard, loving kindness. If you meditate, why don't you meditate on loving kindness for the days before the festive season, and notice what happens. These are all things that are coming into my head, and I'm thinking about, that would be a bloody good idea, Paul. Come on, Cluffy, get your act in gear, get your ass in gear, and think kind thoughts. How kind can you be? What would be a kind gesture for somebody before they want it? Such as my partner. How could I be kind to her and just be there? I just know it paying dividends, there's some ways, my life is going to be so much easier that way. But I don't know where that thought came in, but it's true. But I just know it'll make a difference. So medicating, maybe that's good too. Meditating on loving kindness, just thinking about loving kindness. Because if you're thinking about it and visualizing it and you're focusing on it, that's a meditation. It's like a prayer. It's like the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that, whatever your beliefs around this area, they're all come from that same core of kindness, loving kindness, for a good reason. And the good reason is just, for other people, but you'll get it. You'll get it back. You won't lose it. In fact, you'll start to grow a muscle of loving kindness. And I don't think that's a bad muscle to exercise. I think we should maybe exercise it more and more. Who knows? Have a think. If this has touched you in any way, in a nice way, in a kind way, I'd love your feedback. You know that. Here's the thing about feedback now. Hey, I just want to take 90 seconds of your time to talk about feedback. Why is it so important to us, the podcast? Well, it's my way of really finding out what you want and allowing you to set the direction of these podcasts, to give that feedback, that interaction, to understand what your needs are, what type of processes you'd like to have talked about and given, and allow me to work on with those hypnosis tracks. It's all about being part of this community of sharing. How does it happen? Well, all you do is email me, and that email will come direct to me. It'll make me think of what you want and more. And they'll all be confidential, by the way. Everything is confidential, but it gives me a great insight to your needs and the things that I can explore with you. How do you do it? It's so simple. All you do is email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's simple. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And just think, if you're worried about sharing, and I know we talk about sharing, those emails stay where they are. They don't move at all. What happens is I want to share your thoughts and share my thoughts together so we can really just get down to enjoying the world that we want to live in and make a difference. There you go, 90 seconds. There you go, just one of my 90 seconds on feedback. And also, if you got something out of this, please do share it with other people. Share it in so many different ways if you could. Share it by your living example, and learning and sharing, paying it forward in other ways. Telling people about this podcast, telling about this community that we are building together to create the ripples of change. Because there's so many good things here. I hope there's really good things here. We've got enough podcasts here. They're going to carry on getting better and better, I hope. That's my intention, that we can carry on making a difference. And I want you to spur me on to do even more. And I'm going to then support you to do even more. So please do share this podcast or all the others, and to your friends, to your unfriends, to people you might know, even people you don't know, but in a nice way. Let's just be kind. Pay it forward. And in turn, we will be sharing learnings into the integrated field of learning, and someone will get that back. You're going to get it back anyway, because that's what happens, but other people will get it back as well. And we'll just set up a great, caring community. But a caring community that does things, makes a difference. Anyway, you know where I am. You can get me on feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. You got me on Twitter at pcluffy. Have a little look. I'll put things up on there as well. And obviously on Facebook as well. It's just my personal Facebook, but hey, have a look. Until the next time, have a very kind time. And more importantly, or as important, be kind to yourself. Okay. Stay warm. Stay safe. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.